I said, "Hey, sweetie." The alien princess blushed and said, "Yes, darling," and we laughed together. Captain Eli Arden had never been one to follow schedules closely. On most days, he preferred to wander the decks of his spaceship, the Star Wanderer, looking for minor adventures. But today was different. Today, he had to be on the Stellar Harmony Station, a massive hub at the edge of human space, buzzing with diplomats, merchants, and curious travelers from every corner of the galaxy. Eli was used to being around humans, but alien dignitaries were something else entirely. They were elegant, serious, and often intimidating. His friends always said he had a knack for awkward situations, but Eli thought of them as opportunities. He liked to turn tense moments into laughter, even if it was at his own expense. As he stepped onto the polished floor of the station's diplomatic wing, Eli's eyes scanned the crowd. Banners fluttered in the artificial breeze of the station's air circulation system. Holographic displays floated beside the diplomats, showing trade agreements and alliance proposals. Everywhere he looked, people were talking in low, hurried tones, some in languages he barely understood, others in formal diplomatic English. "Keep it together, Eli," he muttered under his breath. "Just one normal introduction, then you can wander off again." He moved toward the main gathering hall, where a ceremony was about to take place. It was here that representatives of new alien races would officially meet human officials. Among them was Princess Liara of the Thryn, a species renowned for their glowing, bioluminescent skin that changed colors with emotion. Humans often found them intimidating, partly because of their beauty and partly because of the subtle power they radiated. Eli had heard stories of the Thryn princess. She was said to be clever, witty, and surprisingly bold. He had no idea how bold until he actually saw her. Liara stood near the entrance, her presence commanding attention. Her skin shimmered softly, a gentle blue-green that hinted at calmness and intelligence. Her eyes, large and luminescent, scanned the crowd as if she were assessing every person in the room at once. She wore a formal ceremonial robe that looked impossibly elegant but practical enough for movement. Eli thought she looked like someone who could step into a battlefield one moment and a diplomatic debate the next, all without breaking a sweat. As Eli approached, he fumbled with a floating datapad that was meant to record the proceedings. The datapad slipped from his grasp, spinning in the low gravity of the station. "Whoa, hey!" he exclaimed, diving forward to catch it. In his rush, he collided with someone. The contact was gentle but enough to make him stumble slightly. He looked up and froze. Princess Liara had been standing right in front of him. Her glowing skin shifted to a soft pink, the Thryn equivalent of blushing. Eli, never great at first impressions, immediately felt his own face heat up. "Oh, I am so sorry," he blurted out, bowing awkwardly. Liara's eyes widened for a moment, and then she laughed, a soft, musical sound that seemed to brighten the room just for Eli. "It is acceptable," she said, her voice smooth and warm, though her skin still glimmered in embarrassment. "You should watch where you are going, Captain Arden." Eli chuckled nervously. "I definitely will. Datapads can be sneaky sometimes, right?" "Yes," Liara replied, still smiling, though a faint flicker of amusement ran across her glowing skin. "Very sneaky." Something about the simplicity of her response made Eli laugh. It was a pure, easy laugh, one that didn't need to be polite or measured. For the first time in this tense diplomatic environment, he felt completely at ease. The two of them stood there for a moment, each recovering from the accidental encounter. Around them, other diplomats noticed, exchanging curious glances, but Eli and Liara ignored them. They were too busy laughing quietly at the absurdity of the situation. "Do you always make people stumble in your presence?" Eli asked, trying to keep the conversation light. Liara's blush deepened, her skin flickering between pink and gold. "Not always," she said. "But occasionally, yes. It seems you are a special case." Eli grinned. "Well, I like to think I'm special." Her laugh returned, brighter this time, and Eli felt a strange sense of relief. This was not the cold, distant princess he had expected. This was someone who could laugh with him, not just at him. Before he could say anything else, a holographic assistant floated between them, projecting a schedule of events for the day. Princess Liara, your attendance is requested in the ceremonial hall. Captain Arden, your presence is requested by the human delegation. Eli looked at Liara and she gave a subtle nod. They shared a quiet, unspoken agreement. This was not the end of their encounter. Somehow, fate had intertwined their paths and it promised more surprises. As the crowd began to move toward the main hall, Eli found himself walking slightly beside Liara, keeping pace without thinking about it. He couldn't help but notice how she moved with confidence, how her eyes seemed to notice every detail around her. Humans were used to being cautious in new environments, but Liara had the air of someone completely in control, even in unfamiliar territory. "So," Eli said, trying to sound casual, "do you get nervous before big ceremonies like this?" Liara tilted her head thoughtfully and her skin shimmered faintly with pale gold. "Nervous, perhaps, but it is a duty I accept. Fear is unnecessary when one is prepared." Eli nodded, impressed despite himself. "Right, preparation beats fear, got it. But if you're like me, sometimes you just trip on a data pad." Liara laughed again, the sound light and infectious. Eli found himself smiling wider than he had in weeks. By the time they reached the ceremonial hall, Eli realized that this encounter had completely shifted his perspective. Diplomacy could be stiff and formal, but there was room for laughter, even for humans who were prone to clumsiness. And sometimes, a simple collision could lead to unexpected connections. Inside the hall, the delegates were assembling, and Eli noticed the tension in the air. There were murmurs about the rogue trade routes, the delicate alliances, and the potential for conflict with nearby factions. But for a brief moment, Eli and Liara shared a private bubble of amusement and ease, a tiny oasis in a room full of pressure. Liara leaned slightly closer, her voice low. "Captain Arden, you are unusual for a human. Most would have bowed excessively or apologized endlessly. You laughed." "I guess I just like laughing," Eli replied, shrugging. "Life's too short to take every stumble seriously." Her eyes glimmered with a mixture of curiosity and respect. "Perhaps that is why we shall see interesting outcomes from our future interactions." Eli raised an eyebrow. "Future interactions, huh? That sounds promising." Liara's glow shifted to a gentle green, a sign of calm amusement. "Indeed, promising, yes." The ceremony began, and Eli took his place among the human delegation, but he could feel Liara's presence nearby. It was reassuring, almost like having a lighthouse in a storm. And as the official speeches and formal greetings filled the hall, Eli realized that something about this day would change everything, not just for him, but perhaps for the way humans and Thrin would view each other. The collision that had started as a minor accident had already begun to weave a new story, one of laughter, friendship, and the unexpected bonds that could form even between the most different of species. And Eli Arden, clumsy as he sometimes was, couldn't help but grin at the thought. Because somewhere between, "Hey, watch out," and "it is acceptable," a new adventure had already begun. After the formal ceremony, Captain Eli Arden found himself walking beside Princess Liara through the wide corridors of the Stellar Harmony Station. Despite the grandness of the station, the hum of activity, and the glowing panels that floated in midair, Eli felt unusually calm. The earlier accident, the laughter they shared, it had created a strange sense of connection between them. Liara, for her part, seemed intrigued by him. Humans were known for their unpredictability, but Eli had a way of being both bold and careless at the same time. That combination was rare, even for diplomats who traveled across galaxies. Her glowing skin shifted from gentle green to a faint gold, signaling curiosity and mild amusement. "So," Eli said, glancing at her, "how often do you get thrown into formal ceremonies like that?" Liara's eyes flickered to him, and she tilted her head slightly. "Too often," she admitted. "Yet each ceremony differs. Today's event, it was unique. Your stumble made it memorable." Eli grinned. "I'll take that as a compliment. Making things memorable is kind of my specialty." Her faint laugh echoed through the corridor. Eli noticed how the ambient lights reflected softly on her shimmering skin, giving her an almost ethereal appearance. He had to remind himself she was a princess, a leader, not just a beautiful alien being. As they reached a lounge area, a holographic assistant appeared beside them, projecting schedules and messages. Liara studied the floating panel carefully. "Our next task begins shortly," she said. "We are to visit the rogue trade zone and negotiate with its representatives." Eli's eyes widened. "Rogue trade zone? That doesn't sound exactly peaceful." Liara's glow flickered to a sharp blue, indicating focus and determination. "It is complicated," she said simply, "but diplomacy is our duty." Eli nodded, trying to suppress his excitement. Dangerous situations often brought out the best in him. "Well, that sounds like an adventure. I'm in." The journey to the rogue trade zone required them to board a sleek, fast transport vessel operated by the station. Eli had flown in many spacecraft before, but Liara's fleet technology was unlike anything he had ever seen. The interior was minimalistic yet elegant. Soft, glowing lines traced the walls and floors, guiding passengers as the ship hummed quietly. As they traveled, Eli tried to understand Liara's culture more deeply. He knew very little except for what he had read in reports. Thryn communicated not just through words but through subtle color shifts in their skin. Emotions, intentions, even lies were often revealed in the colors they displayed. "So, your skin changes colors depending on feelings?" Eli asked, trying not to stare. Liara looked at him, her soft green shifting to a pale blue. "Yes, it is a part of who we are." "It is honest, transparent, and often revealing." Eli chuckled. "That must make poker games interesting." Liara's laugh was soft, musical, and Eli felt a warmth spread through him. "Games of chance are not common among Thryn," she said. "We prefer strategy and planning." Eli nodded thoughtfully. "I like strategy too, but sometimes you need a little chaos to keep things fun." Liara's skin flickered gold briefly. "Chaos, yes. You embrace unpredictability, Captain Arden. That is rare." Their conversation was interrupted as the vessel passed through a dense asteroid field near the trade zone. The navigation lights glowed faintly on the rocky surfaces, casting long shadows across the hull. Eli marveled at the agility of the ship, while Liara's calm demeanor never wavered. As they approached the rogue trade zone, Eli noticed small spacecraft darting between massive cargo carriers. Some vessels looked well-maintained, others seemed patched together with scraps of metal. The area had an unpolished, dangerous feel, but it was alive with commerce, barter, and negotiation. "Stay close," Liara advised, her voice calm but firm. "The leaders here respect strength and honesty." Eli nodded. "Got it. Strength and honesty. Sounds like human and Thryn both." Liara's skin flickered briefly in agreement. "Yes. Perhaps that is why our cooperation may succeed where others fail." They docked at a central hub within the zone, where rogue traders had established offices and trading posts. As soon as they stepped onto the platform, Eli felt the difference between this place and the polished halls of Stellar Harmony Station. The air smelled faintly of oil, metal, and spices. Traders called out in various languages, selling exotic goods from across the galaxy. Liara moved confidently, her presence commanding respect without force. Eli, on the other hand, relied on charm and humor, joking with a few traders who tried to intimidate them with formal glares. The combination worked surprisingly well. Liara's authority, backed by Eli's human unpredictability, created a unique impression. Their goal was simple: negotiate safe trade agreements with the rogue faction, preventing them from joining forces with a hostile neighboring group. However, the cultural differences between humans, Thryn, and these rogues made communication tricky. During the first meeting, a large Thryn delegate raised concerns over security measures. Eli, misunderstanding a subtle gesture, made a joking comment about the delegate's oversized helmets. Everyone froze for a moment. Eli thought he had ruined the negotiation. Then Liara laughed, a soft, genuine laugh that filled the room. The tension broke. Even the rogue traders relaxed slightly. Captain Arden has a unique approach to diplomacy, Liara said, her glowing skin flickering in amusement. It is honest. Perhaps too honest, but it is refreshing. Eli grinned sheepishly. Honesty's my specialty. The first round of talks went surprisingly well. Eli and Liara found themselves complimenting each other's styles. He lightened tense moments with humor. She provided wisdom, strategy, and insight. By the end of the session, both humans and rogues had signed preliminary agreements. As they left the room, Eli nudged Liara playfully. See, chaos and laughter saved the day. Her glow shifted to soft green. Perhaps, in some cases, she admitted, though her eyes held amusement. Later, as they returned to their transport vessel, Eli couldn't help but ask more about Thryn culture. Do you always communicate with your skin like that? Liara tilted her head thoughtfully. Not always. Close companions, trusted allies, they can interpret even subtle shifts. Strangers may see colors, but the meaning is often lost. Eli's grin widened. Good to know. So, I guess that makes me a beginner student. Liara's skin flickered gold. Perhaps, but you are learning quickly. During the journey back, Eli began noticing patterns he had never seen before. Certain color shifts indicated amusement, others caution, and some were harder to decipher. He tried to guess Liara's feelings at different moments, and she occasionally teased him when he guessed wrong. Their playful banter continued, blending learning, humor, and mutual respect. By the time they arrived back at the Stellar Harmony Station, Eli realized something important. Trust and cooperation weren't just about skill or intelligence. They were about understanding, patience, and sometimes laughter. He had seen many leaders in his life, but Liara was different. She inspired loyalty without demanding it, confidence without arrogance. Eli also noticed a strange feeling he hadn't expected. He looked forward to the next encounter. Not just as a duty, but as something more personal. The way she laughed, the way she taught him, the way she allowed him to be himself. These were things that made him feel alive in a way he hadn't for months. Before parting ways, Liara turned to him. Captain Arden, today has been educational. Eli chuckled. Educational, huh? I'd call it fun, dangerous fun, but fun. Her glow flickered gold once more and she smiled. Perhaps tomorrow will be even more interesting. Eli grinned, a spark of excitement in his eyes. I look forward to it. As he walked back to his quarters, Eli couldn't help but reflect on the day's events. From a clumsy stumble to meaningful negotiations, from laughter to lessons, it had been a day unlike any other. He realized that the galaxy was full of surprises, and sometimes the best ones came from unexpected friendships. And in the center of it all was Princess Liara, a brilliant, graceful, glowing presence who had already begun to change the way he saw the universe. Little did he know, their adventures had only just begun. Danger, discovery, and laughter awaited them both, and the story of a human and a Thryn princess was just starting to unfold in ways neither of them could yet imagine. The peace Eli and Liara had helped negotiate in the rogue trade zone lasted only a few hours. As they returned to Stellar Harmony Station, sensors aboard their vessel began picking up unusual readings. A fleet of unknown ships had been detected near the outer rim of human space. The size and speed of the ships suggested they were not ordinary traders or pirates. They were organized and potentially dangerous. Eli frowned, leaning over the navigation console. That doesn't look good. We're talking about more than a few rogue craft. This is a whole fleet. Liara's skin flickered pale blue, indicating concentration. They are armed, she said softly, her voice calm but alert. Their movement is coordinated. Someone is leading them. This is no accident. Eli nodded, already feeling the tension building in his chest. So what's our plan? Do we warn the station, try to talk them down? Liara's glow shifted to gold, her thinking color. We must assess the situation first. Panic will achieve nothing. Information is power. The vessel accelerated toward the station, weaving through asteroid belts and debris fields. Eli could see the outer defensive satellites of the station activating in response to the fleet. Humans and Thrin alike prepared for possible confrontation. By the time they docked, a crowd had already gathered in the station's central command room. Holographic projections of the fleet hovered in the air, showing formation patterns and weapon signatures. Admiral Harkins, a stern human officer, greeted them. Captain Arden, Princess Liara, we've been expecting your report. Sensors indicate the fleet is massive and highly advanced. They could overwhelm our defenses if we do not act carefully. Eli stepped forward, trying to maintain his usual confident tone, though he felt a knot in his stomach. What do we know about them? Do they have a name, a goal? Liara joined him at the projection table. Not yet, she admitted. Their communications are encrypted and their strategy is precise. However, the coordination suggests intelligence and experience. They are not a random group of marauders. Admiral Harkins nodded gravely. Then we have to prepare for possible conflict. But I trust your judgment. You two seem to have a unique perspective. Eli glanced at Liara. She gave a small nod. We work well together, she said. Our approach may differ from the station's usual methods, but it could give us an advantage. The next few hours were a whirlwind of preparation. Eli and Liara examined the fleet projections, identifying weak points and patterns in the alien ship's formations. While the station's defense officers focused on raw firepower, Liara emphasized adaptability and strategy. We cannot simply attack, she said. We must be unpredictable, use the environment, use the station itself. Eli's grin returned, excitement sparking in his eyes. Now that's more like it. I like a challenge. Liara's eyes flickered green, signaling amusement. Do not mistake amusement for carelessness, Captain. Lives depend on this. Together, they worked late into the station's night cycle. Eli suggested rerouting energy from non-essential systems to the outer shields. Liara added adjustments to the station's sensor arrays, allowing them to detect changes in the fleet's movement before any visual confirmation. By the time the alien fleet reached the station's perimeter, Eli and Liara had a plan. It was risky, but it was clever. Instead of engaging the fleet head-on, they would use the station's gravity generators to create artificial anomalies. The alien ships, unfamiliar with such environmental manipulation, would be forced to break formation. This would allow the station's defensive craft to target them effectively. Eli ran simulations on the console, watching as virtual ships shifted, spun, and collided with the artificially created gravitational waves. If this works, it'll look like we're playing chess while they're playing checkers, he said. Liara's glow shifted to gold in approval. Precisely. Their own overconfidence may be their downfall. As the fleet drew closer, tension filled the command room. Crew members worked frantically to prepare the station's defenses, while Eli and Liara fine-tuned the plan. The alien ships were approaching fast, their hulls glinting ominously under the distant starlight. Ready? Eli asked, turning to Liara. She gave a firm nod. Ready. With a deep breath, Eli initiated the sequence. The station's gravity generators hummed and pulsed, creating ripples in the space around them. The alien fleet, caught off guard, struggled to maintain formation. Several ships veered off course, some colliding lightly with debris fields. "Beautiful," Eli exclaimed, unable to hide his excitement. "It's working exactly as we hoped." Liara's eyes scanned the holographic projections, noting the enemy's reactions. "Do not underestimate them," she warned. "They will adapt quickly. Maintain focus." Indeed, the fleet began to adjust. Their ships shifted patterns, attempting to avoid the gravitational waves. Eli and Liara countered by adjusting the station's generators in real time, creating unpredictable shifts. The battle was like a game of strategy, requiring constant observation, quick thinking, and perfect coordination. At one point, Eli noticed a small squadron breaking off from the main fleet, aiming for the station's cargo docks. "Liara, we've got a problem," he shouted. She reacted instantly. "Divert defensive drones to intercept. I'll adjust the gravity field to slow them down." The two worked seamlessly, their coordination becoming almost instinctive. Laughter punctuated the tense moments as Eli joked about the alien ships being space bowling pins, while Liara rolled her eyes at his humor. Even in the midst of a life-or-death situation, their bond provided strength, focus, and calm. After several hours of intense maneuvers, the alien fleet began retreating. They had underestimated the station's defenses and the creativity of Eli and Liara's strategy. The remaining ships turned and fled, leaving the Stellar Harmony station intact, though shaken. The command room erupted in relief. Crew members congratulated Eli and Liara, praising their ingenuity and leadership. Even Admiral Harkin smiled, a rare sight. "Exceptional work. You two have saved countless lives today." Eli grinned, though he was exhausted. "Teamwork, strategy, and a little chaos," he said, giving Liara a playful wink. Liara's glow flickered gold in amusement. "Perhaps your chaos is not entirely useless," she admitted. Later, as the station settled into calm, Eli and Liara walked along the observation deck. Stars stretched infinitely before them, the aftermath of the battle leaving a quiet, serene view. Eli leaned on the railing, catching his breath. "That was intense," he said. "I can't remember the last time I was this stressed and excited at the same time." Liara's eyes shimmered softly. "You handled it well. Few humans would have adapted as quickly. Your unpredictability was an advantage." Eli smiled, feeling a sense of pride he rarely allowed himself. "Thanks, and you were amazing. Calm, smart, and fearless. Honestly, you made me look good." Her glowing skin shifted to soft pink, a thin sign of humility and warmth. "Perhaps we made each other look good," she said softly. Eli grinned, feeling the moment deepen their bond. "Maybe. I like working with you, Liara. You make chaos feel manageable." She laughed, a musical sound that eased the lingering tension. "And you make strategy feel unpredictable." As they watched the stars, both understood something vital. Their cooperation was more than just professional. It was a connection of minds, hearts, and laughter, a combination that could overcome challenges far greater than either had faced alone. The threat had been a test, and they had passed with flying colors. Yet, deep inside, Eli sensed that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers and unexpected adventures, but with Liara by his side he felt ready for anything. "Tomorrow," Eli said, his tone casual but firm, "we're going to have even more adventures." "Right." Liara's skin flickered gold in agreement. "Indeed. And we must remain prepared. The galaxy has many surprises in store." Eli chuckled. "Then bring it on. Whatever comes, we'll handle it together." Liara smiled, her eyes reflecting the distant starlight. "Together," she repeated. And so, as the Stellar Harmony station returned to its usual hum of activity, the bond between human and Thryn princess grew stronger. Through laughter, strategy, and courage, they had faced a formidable threat and emerged victorious. Their friendship had been tested, their skills sharpened, and a shared sense of purpose had taken root. Unseen, in the distant shadows of the galaxy, the alien fleet regrouped, their curiosity piqued by the resilience of human ingenuity and Thrin brilliance. Eli and Liara had made an impression. The next encounter would be even greater, and the galaxy would soon witness the full force of their combined spirit. For now, though, the stars stretched peacefully before them, and for the first time that day, Eli allowed himself to simply enjoy the quiet moment. The calm after the alien fleet's retreat was deceptive. Though Stellar Harmony Station had survived, intelligence reports suggested the fleet was not gone. They had merely regrouped in the outer rim, observing the station and plotting their next move. Captain Eli Arden and Princess Liara knew that waiting for them to strike again would be dangerous. They needed a plan, a bold one that could protect the station and turn the tables on the fleet. Liara convened a strategy meeting in the station's central command room. The holographic displays glowed with schematics of the fleet, highlighting weak points in their formations and gaps in their communication network. Eli studied the projections, tapping on the console as he traced the paths of enemy ships. "They're fast, organized, and intelligent," Eli said, shaking his head. "We can't just blast them with lasers. We'll lose too many ships. We need something clever." Liara's glowing skin flickered gold, indicating focus and thought. "We cannot rely solely on firepower. The station itself is a tool. We can manipulate its environment, gravity, energy fields, and orbital trajectories to create obstacles that work in our favor." Eli grinned. "That's my kind of plan, chaos with a purpose." Liara shot him a faint smile. "I prefer to call it strategy. Chaos is uncontrolled." Together, they began crafting a plan that would combine human ingenuity with Thrin technology. The station's gravity generators could create artificial gravitational distortions, altering the course of enemy ships. Energy fields could be redirected to simulate defensive barriers, misleading the fleet into thinking the station was more heavily armed than it actually was. Defensive drones could then strike at disoriented ships, hitting them where they were weakest. Eli leaned back in his chair, his eyes twinkling. "It's risky, but it could work, and if it works, it'll be spectacular." Liara's glow shifted to green. "Risk is acceptable if calculated, but we must prepare for unexpected responses. They will adapt quickly." The two spent hours running simulations, each adjusting variables, testing outcomes, and improving their strategy. Eli injected his human flair for improvisation, suggesting unpredictable maneuvers and daring diversions. Liara balanced these ideas with precise calculations and tactical foresight, ensuring that every risk was manageable. By the time the fleet appeared on the station's sensors again, their plan was nearly ready. The alien ships moved with precision, unaware that the station's defenses were prepared not just for defense, but for controlled chaos. "Ready?" Eli asked, his voice tight with anticipation. Liara's eyes shimmered softly. "Ready." The first step was subtle. The station's gravity generators shifted just enough to create mild disturbances in the space around the fleet. Sensors aboard the alien ships registered anomalies, causing minor course corrections. Eli and Liara monitored every movement, adjusting the generators in real time. "Focus on the leading squadron," Liara instructed. "They are key to the fleet's coordination. Disrupt them first." Eli tapped the console, redirecting energy fields to interfere with the squadron's navigation systems. Several ships began drifting slightly off course. The effect was immediate and the fleet scrambled to respond. "Look at that," Eli exclaimed. "They didn't expect it." "It's like watching dominoes topple." Liara's soft laugh, rare and musical, echoed in the command room. "Do not underestimate them. They will learn quickly." And learn they did. The fleet adapted, recalibrating their systems to account for the station's environmental interference. But Eli and Liara were ready. The next phase of their plan involved defensive drones, small, agile units capable of striking with precision. Eli had designed unpredictable flight patterns for the drones, while Liara programmed energy shields that could amplify attacks when necessary. As the drones launched, several enemy ships were hit, forcing the fleet to break formation. The carefully orchestrated chaos created openings for targeted strikes. Eli and Liara worked in perfect synchrony, issuing commands, adjusting fields, and redirecting drones with lightning speed. "This is incredible," Eli muttered, barely taking a breath. "It's like we're dancing with them in space." Liara's glow shifted to gold in acknowledgement. A precise dance. Every move must be calculated. Hours passed in a tense, exhilarating blur. The fleet continued its assault, but each attempt to gain advantage was met with countermeasures. Gravity distortions, energy field manipulations, and drone strikes combined to make the station seem larger, more fortified, and more dangerous than it truly was. Even the alien commanders began to hesitate, unsure how to respond to the unpredictability of their environment. At one point, a small squadron managed to bypass the outer defenses, heading straight for the station's core power hub. Eli noticed immediately. "Liara, we've got incoming, right for the power hub." Her skin flickered sharply, indicating alertness. "Divert the secondary shields. I will adjust gravity to slow them down. Intercept with drones on my mark." The squadron faltered under the combined effects. One ship collided lightly with an asteroid field. Another misjudged the gravity shift and spun off course. Drones struck the remaining ships, disabling them without destruction. Eli and Liara exchanged a quick glance, silently acknowledging their growing synergy. The remaining fleet, seeing their forces falter and their strategies fail, began to retreat. The combination of human unpredictability and Thrin precision had worked. The station was safe, and the alien fleet had been humiliated, their strength overestimated, and their tactics outsmarted. The command room erupted in cheers. Crew members clapped and congratulated Eli and Liara, praising their ingenuity and leadership. Admiral Harkins, usually stern and reserved, offered a rare smile. "Exceptional work. The station and countless lives are safe because of you too." Eli leaned back, exhausted but thrilled. "Well, that was intense and amazing. I couldn't have done it without you, Liara." Liara's glow softened to pink, a Thrin color of warmth and quiet pride. "And I could not have done it without you, Captain Arden. Your unpredictability was essential." Later, they walked to the observation deck, the stars stretching endlessly before them. The battle had left a serene silence in its wake, the galaxy returning to calm. Eli leaned on the railing, taking in the view. "You know," he said, grinning, "most humans would be panicking right now, but we made it look easy." Liara laughed softly. "Easy, perhaps for some. But yes, together, we are capable." Eli felt a strange sense of connection as he watched her glowing skin shift in gentle shades of green and gold. "You know, all of this, it's more than just strategy. I think we work well because we understand each other. We trust each other." Her eyes glimmered. "Trust is rare between species, but with you it feels natural." The calm moment was interrupted by a faint alarm. Sensors had detected distant signals, another fleet, perhaps scouts from the first. Eli and Liara exchanged a glance. The galaxy was far from done testing them. "Looks like the adventure isn't over," Eli said, smiling. Liara's glow flickered gold in agreement. "Indeed, but now we know, together we can face anything." Eli leaned back, letting the cool observation deck air wash over him. "And somehow we'll make it fun too, right?" Liara's laugh filled the space between them. "Fun and victorious. That at least is guaranteed." The stars above them seemed endless, a reminder of the vast challenges and wonders that awaited. Eli felt a thrill he hadn't felt in years. Danger, excitement, discovery, all mingling with the warmth of friendship and respect. And somewhere in that infinite galaxy, he knew, their combined ingenuity and courage would continue to shine, guiding humanity and allies toward hope and triumph. As they watched the distant points of light flicker across space, Eli realized something profound. Victory was not just in strategy or strength. It was in connection, trust, and laughter, the very things that had made him and Liara unstoppable. The station, the fleet, and the galaxy itself had learned one lesson. Human ingenuity and Thrin brilliance, when combined, were forces beyond reckoning. And Eli Arden and Princess Liara had only just begun to test the limits of what was possible. The days following the fleet's retreat were unusually calm. Stellar Harmony Station hummed with activity, but the shadow of potential threats lingered. Captain Eli Arden and Princess Liara continued their work, monitoring communications, coordinating with allies, and preparing for any eventuality. Yet, amidst the tension, a sense of accomplishment and something more personal filled the air between them. Eli had grown accustomed to Liara's presence. Her calm confidence complemented his spontaneity perfectly. Together, they had faced threats, solved problems, and even shared laughter during the most intense moments. And now, walking along the observation deck together, he felt a quiet sense of satisfaction. "Do you ever stop to think about how strange this all is?" Eli asked, leaning on the railing. The stars stretched infinitely beyond the station's large observation windows, glimmering with the distant light of countless worlds. Liara's glowing skin shifted to soft green, a color of curiosity. Strange, perhaps, but also extraordinary. Few humans and Thrin ever worked together so closely, even fewer with such ease. Eli grinned. "Ease, huh? You make it sound so simple. Trust me, it's not simple. I almost set off the station's alarm systems 3 times this morning alone." Liara laughed softly, the sound melodic and comforting. "Yet somehow everything functions. Your energy, your unpredictability, it complements my planning. It is harmonious." Eli chuckled. "I like that. Harmonious chaos. That's me in a nutshell." Liara shook her head slightly, her glow flickering gold. "You are more than chaos, Eli Arden. You inspire confidence not just in yourself but in others. That is rare." He felt a warmth in his chest, not just pride but a deeper connection forming. "You know, Liara, I never expected to meet someone like you. Someone who can challenge me, make me laugh, and see things differently." Her eyes shimmered in response, soft blue-green now. "And I never expected to meet a human who could adapt so quickly, learn so fast, and trust so easily. Our partnership, it is unexpected, yet natural." For a moment, the universe seemed to pause. Eli and Liara stood side by side, 2 figures framed against the infinite stars, connected by trust, laughter, and mutual respect. Then, Eli broke the quiet with a grin. "So, I guess this means we're unstoppable together." Liara's soft laugh echoed through the observation deck. "Perhaps in some cases, but we must remain vigilant." Their light-hearted moment was interrupted by a communication alert. A nearby system had reported unusual activity, minor, but enough to warrant attention. Eli and Liara exchanged a glance. Even in quiet times, the galaxy had a way of reminding them that adventure was never far away. "Ready for one more small adventure?" Eli asked, already moving toward the console. Liara's glow flickered gold in agreement. "Always. Together, we are capable." Hours later, after handling the minor threat with skill and precision, they returned to the observation deck. The station was peaceful once more, and Eli finally allowed himself to relax. "You know," he said, stretching against the railing, "sometimes I forget how lucky we are. Not just surviving, but doing it together, and laughing through it all." Liara's soft smile, framed by her gentle glowing skin, made him feel a calm warmth. Laughter is not trivial. It strengthens bonds, eases tension, and reminds us that life is not only duty and danger. Eli nodded. "Exactly. That's why I think no matter what comes next, we'll handle it. Not just because we're smart or strong, but because we trust each other." Her glow flickered to soft pink, the Thrin color of warmth and quiet joy. "Indeed, trust, and understanding. They are our greatest strengths. Eli leaned closer, lowering his voice in a teasing tone. Then I guess I can safely say, hey, sweetie. Liara's eyes widened slightly, her skin shifting to a blush of pink and gold. Yes, darling, she said softly, the words carrying both amusement and warmth. Eli laughed, the sound echoing in the empty observation deck. We really do make a great team. Liara laughed too, a clear, melodic sound that warmed the space around them. The tension of battles past, the stress of diplomacy, and the uncertainty of the galaxy melted away for a moment. Two very different beings, human and Thrin, stood together, sharing a simple joy that transcended culture, species, and circumstance. Eli glanced at her, feeling a spark of inspiration. You know, Liara, I think this is the kind of thing stories are written about. Humans and Thrin facing the galaxy's dangers and laughing together at the end of the day. Liara's glow flickered gold with amusement. Perhaps. But life is often more complex than stories. Yet this moment, it is worth remembering. As they stood side by side, gazing at distant stars, Eli reflected on how far they had come. From a clumsy stumble that had made the princess blush, to navigating rogue trade zones, surviving alien fleets, and orchestrating impossible strategies, the journey had been extraordinary. And through it all, laughter had been their constant companion. Laughter had made tense moments bearable, victories sweeter, and trust stronger. Eli realized that humor, courage, and respect were just as vital as skill or intelligence in facing the vast unknown of the galaxy. Liara broke the silence, her voice soft but firm. Captain Arden, I must say it is unusual to feel such comfort and confidence beside a human. Yet I trust you. Eli smiled, his heart lifting at her words. I trust you too, Liara, completely. And honestly, I wouldn't want to face the galaxy with anyone else. Her eyes shimmered, and for a moment the stars seemed to reflect in them. Eli felt the bond between them solidify, not just as allies, not just as friends, but as companions who had shared dangers, triumphs, and laughter in ways that few could understand. You know, Eli said quietly, the galaxy is unpredictable, but somehow I feel like we can handle anything, together. Liara's glow shifted to soft green, a sign of agreement and calm determination. Together, she repeated. For the first time in a long while, Eli allowed himself to simply enjoy the moment. He didn't think about fleets, negotiations, or strategy. He didn't think about dangers lurking in distant sectors. He only thought about the simple joy of being there, side by side with Liara, laughing, sharing stories, and watching the stars. The universe was vast and full of challenges, but Eli knew one thing for certain. With Liara, he could face anything. And the galaxy would not only see their courage and ingenuity, it would see their laughter, their friendship, and the undeniable strength of humanity's heart. Hours passed as they remained on the observation deck, talking quietly, sharing small jokes, and marveling at the distant constellations. Eli marveled at how much he had learned, from strategy to diplomacy, from courage to patience, all while finding joy in the simplest of moments. Liara glanced at him, her glow softening to a gentle pink and gold. Eli Arden, do you ever wonder what comes next? Eli shrugged, smiling. I don't need to know. Whatever comes, we'll handle it, and we'll laugh through it. Liara's smile matched his, radiant and warm. Then perhaps that is all we need to know. Together, they watched the galaxy stretch endlessly before them. Stars twinkled like tiny promises of adventures yet to come. They had faced threats, navigated challenges, and learned to trust each other in ways that went beyond words. And now, as the night enveloped the station and distant planets glimmered faintly in the darkness, Eli and Liara laughed once more, a sound that echoed across the stars, a symbol of hope, courage, and connection. In that moment, nothing else mattered. The galaxy was wide, mysterious, and sometimes dangerous, but it was also full of wonder. And as long as they had each other, Eli Arden and Princess Liara knew they could face any challenge, celebrate any victory, and laugh through every stumble along the way. The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter that night, reflecting the light of friendship, trust, and shared joy. And in that light, humanity and Thryn, two very different species, stood together, ready to meet whatever adventures awaited, side by side, hearts aligned, and laughter echoing among the stars.